What's up, interwebs? It's your realtor, Jeremy. It's time for the Valley Market Update. As I mentioned in last week's episode, gonna do a few things a little differently. So as we hit December and the end of the year, we kind of look back. I mean, I do it, maybe you do it, maybe you don't. But you kind of take inventory of what's gone on the past 12 months. And it's been kind of crazy from a real estate standpoint. I had two listings at the beginning of the year. One was a listing down in Chandler, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, pretty good starter home. Sold for we listed for $315, sold for $350 with 60 plus offers. And one in Mesa that had a dozen offers or so, which that was really at the front end of what became a bonkers year. And some of the things that we talked about as being concerns for the year from affordability and stuff like that, still definitely concerns. But the big story, the big story all year long was our inventory levels. And so I want to talk today about kind of all the factors that have come into play to kind of put us in this position. Like most things, it is multifaceted. There's not just one reason why our inventory levels are low. The crazy thing about this last year is that literally like every factor that plays into inventory levels, it's like even if one of these factors changed, we would probably not see a great increase of inventory. We'd have to have like multiples of these factors turn 180 for inventory levels to change a lot. So let's get in and take a look at what's happened this year with these different facets of what affects housing inventory. Number one, we're just not building enough houses. After the big crash that happened in the late aughts, scared a lot of builders. And we were literally building at rates well below any of the last decade, so 2010 to 2020, that decade, we built less houses than we ever have. And because of that, not only with our increasing population from people moving to Arizona, but what really happened in that decade is that all of a sudden the millennials, who are the largest generational group from a population standpoint, they started buying homes. Millennials this year are hitting their 40s. The oldest of the millennials are hitting their 40s. I'm technically on the edge of that millennial. These last couple years, we've seen millennials jump into the house buying market hard. So because we've not been building enough to keep up with not only our population growth from people transplanting, moving to Arizona, we also don't have the building to keep up with the millennials that are jumping into home ownership. Next facet is really a healthcare conversation. People are living longer and living longer on their own. It was not uncommon for by the time somebody hit the 70s, maybe 80s, that they were needing assistance, that they were moving out of their houses, they were downsizing. We're just not seeing nearly as much of that. It's because people are living longer and generally healthier lives. We're not seeing the attrition from people getting older, needing to go into assisted living, dying, for lack of a better term. We're just not seeing that inventory open up from the older population transitioning out of their single family home. The next has been interest rates. We thought at the end of last year that we saw low interest rates, and then we saw even lower, about the same. I think it was last year, so 2020 November, we had actually the lowest point of interest rates, which was like 2.7. And I think this year we only bottomed out at like 2.75 or something like that. But this entire year, we've had such low interest rates, even with the increase of house values, the same payment bought you just as much house or more than it did a couple of years ago. Interest rates have played a big hand because it's easier to get money to buy houses. It's probably what I would say has been the biggest factor in keeping the buyer demand super high. This next one goes kind of along the lines with interest rates, is that there has been some easing of lending restrictions for mortgages. Now, this is nothing like what we saw in 2005 and 6, where they were doing stated income loans and not having anything to support what you said you earned. Nothing like that. But things got really restrictive. The early, like in 2014, 15, it was really tough to get a home loan. Especially if you were self-employed or were in a unique business, it was pretty difficult. So there's been some relaxing of some of those really stringent requirements and restrictions, and that has opened up more people to being able to buy, especially with, again, with this millennial generation. They tend to not have traditional jobs. It's very common for them to be in a unique situation where they're maybe they have a business that they run, but they also have kind of a side hustle. Side hustle is a big thing for millennials, and they're the ones that are really, really pushing the home purchasing. And I saw a stat, and I tried to find it for this show, but first-time home buyers are still making up more than a third, and I'm pretty sure it was more than a third of all home purchases in 2021. These are four of the kind of the main reasons why our inventory levels are so low. Again, even if interest rates go up, that'll reduce things a little bit, but not dramatically. Building, there's only just so much you can build at any... I just don't see a situation where this is changing much. Because people are still moving here. Millennials are continuing to buy, and they will continue to buy as we start pacing through the entire millennial generation. I don't see our inventory situation getting better really anytime for a little while. We had a little bit of a lull back in September. Things definitely picked up. I foresee some acceleration in the new year. But I gotta wait. Next week is our prediction episode. We're gonna take a look next week back at last year's prediction episode, see what kind of things I got wrong, right, how off I was. I appreciate you guys checking out this week's episode of the Valley Market Update. Do me a favor, if you like these real estate educational videos, and as you saw earlier today, a post about Machu Picchu, some of these outdoor adventure type stuff videos that I've been putting together, do me a favor, click that subscribe button so you never miss one of my new videos. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. It really helps me out. And I will see you guys next week for our last market update of 2021 and 2022 prediction episode. And you know what? Hey, this time of year, it's super easy to get crazy busy. Do me a favor, stop, take a breath, take some inventory of the year you've had, some things you can be thankful for, spend some time with your family, especially with your kids. It makes for a much more enjoyable holiday season if you just take a moment and breathe. You guys have an awesome week. We'll see you next week. Bye.